Unit 12, code red. Museum theft in progress. Pursue northbound.
The punchline for this case was simple. $200,000 and a lot of aspirin. That's how much they said the stolen sword and jewels were worth. The aspirin was for the detectives assigned to the case, namely us. My name is Aaron.
And my name is Christina. The boys downtown usually bring us in when they need some undercover assistance, under 5 feet tall. We were told to collect some evidence left behind by the crook during his escape at Union Station.
Not much to go on.
Let's take a look.
Let's see. He left behind a picture of the sword, but it doesn't look like he had enough time to destroy it.
What's this?
It looks like a map of the Amtrak train route.
Maybe he used it to plot his escape.
It doesn't seem that he has both oars in the water. I mean, what kind of thief would use a train to make his getaway?
He or she might be smarter than you think. Look at this. Looks like a computer chip or something. I think I'll take this to a friend downtown who might know what it is.
Fine, I'll hang around here for a while and pump those gumshoes for some information. I can't believe it. They had him. How could they let him slip away?
Forget it. The crook has probably read Sails in the Sunset by now. Well, I'll call you here as soon as I know something.
Right.
I had a hunch that the clear slide the thief left behind was no ordinary glass. A friend of mine named Mark Merrill runs a holography studio in downtown LA called Holographic Visions. In past visits to his gallery, I'd seen similar pieces of glass used in printing holograms or three-dimensional photographs. Why our crook was carrying this was anyone's guess. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
Fine. Found this thing that says H-gram on it, and I was wondering if you could tell me what it is.
Yeah, this is a hologram.
Hologram? But it doesn't look like any of the holograms you have here.
Well, holograms don't have to be art pieces like you see here at Holographic Visions. On credit cards, you know the little pictures that you have? It's not just a pretty picture. It's used as a counterfeiting deterrent, so people can't copy that card. But if you want to see some art holograms, I can take you in the back gallery and show you a few.
Okay.
Let's go.
Mark took me through the gallery and showed me his new collection of holographic art. This stuff seems to almost jump right off the wall at you. But as impressive as this was, I still needed to find the connection with our sword thief. And my blank hologram was my only clue. That's really neat, Mark, but how can I find out what's on this hologram?
I have a friend at Wayfarer Technologies that might be able to help you. I'll give him a call.
Great, but before I go, what are these?
These are dazers. They're simple holograms. Here, take a look through these glasses.
Oh, neat. Mark directed me to Bill Hilliard at Wavefront Technologies. I was told Bill creates holograms at his studio, and that if anyone could help me with this clue, it was him. Do you think you could tell me what this is?
Ah, this looks like a laser viewable hologram. Similar to these white light holograms. These are white light viewable. This you can see in real light. That one you need a laser to see it.
Wow, so real.
Yeah.
What is a hologram?
A hologram is a three-dimensional picture made with a laser. It's made by taking the actual objects that you want to make a hologram of. They have to be three-dimensional to begin with. Putting this plate with film on it, on top of it, and then illuminating it with a laser. Now when the laser light shines in here, it comes in as a whole spread out light. Not a beam, but just lit, just like you see it now. A pool of light. It passes through. Laser light is absolutely pure light, all one color. The waves are all exactly the same. They go through, they expose on the film, they hit the object, and are reflected back to the plate. After it's developed, similar to how a photograph is developed, you bring it back out into light, shine a white light on it, and it reconstructs the original picture like it was really there.
How can we see what's on this hologram?
For this one, we'll need a laser. Let's go take a look. Here we have an optical table, Christine. It's set up to make holograms, and we can also view them with this laser setup. You see the beam coming down here, hits that mirror, comes up here. Use that light, and look at that.
It looks like a Japanese character.
I think you're right.
I wonder what it means.
I don't know. Gee, we had a fellow that worked here that knew Japanese calligraphy. His name was Diver, but he's not here anymore. I don't know where he's gone to.
Diver. I just finished talking to Bill at the holography studio.
Well, what about the strange slide the cops found on the train?
There was some sort of oriental symbol hidden in the glass slide. Our thief must have known a lot about holography. He might have even worked right here at the studio.
Okay, you better find somebody to decipher that oriental symbol. And I'm gonna try and figure out if this map can tell us anything about where that Japanese sword might be.
I'm off to Little Tokyo. Talk to you later.
See ya. Clue you in, we'll be right back.
Don't go away.
And now back to Clue You In.
The case of the golden sword.
I stuck around Union Station for a while longer, thinking about the leads I had to go on. I have to say, I was a little distracted by the surroundings. Union Station is really something to see. For 50 years, ever since 1939, trains have been whisking people out of here to destinations all over the country. The style of the place is something called Art Deco. It was real popular back in the 1930s. Trains aren't what they used to be, or so I've heard people say. I've never been on a train, but I knew one person who might be on one right now, the sword thief. I couldn't help but think about that weird message he left, when suddenly I noticed something else that was almost dug into the paper. I grabbed the pencil and... Amtrak 825. It must be the number of the thief's train. I asked around. Hey, do you know when the 825 comes in?
There's no 825.
There isn't?
No train 825, no train at 825.
Okay, thanks a lot. If it wasn't a train number, what could Amtrak 825 mean? I had an officer open the locker. Things were getting stranger and stranger. It was one of the stolen jewels. But why only one, and why in this locker? I had a hunch what our thief might be up to, so I headed out for the first train ride of my life. Amtrak runs a pretty smooth operation. You can still catch a train that'll travel cross-country or one that'll just take you down the coast and back all in one day. But I figured I'd better examine that map the cops found. If it belonged to the thief, I thought I'd better check out some of the towns that were circled. In Fullerton, I found the second of the 3 stolen jewels. Next stop, San Bernardino and locker number 825. Now I was 3 for 3. But I still had to figure out what train our thief was on when he made his getaway. In San Bernardino, the Santa Fe Railroad had something called a dispatch office. Maybe they know something about train schedules. Hi, my name's Aaron.
Hi, I'm Jim Beard.
I saw a sign that said dispatch office, and I figured you could probably tell me something about when a particular train left for its destination. See, I'm looking for a guy who took a priceless Japanese sword and many valuable jewels onto a train bound for Fullerton, and then got off the train at Fullerton and then back on a train headed for San Bernardino. And, well, what is it that you actually do here?
Well, basically, we route the trains in a safe and efficient manner. We do not set the schedules, but we maintain the schedule.
So from this office, you can tell where a train has been, where it's going, and when it'll arrive?
Yeah, if you got a minute, let me show you how.
I got a hunch our thief is using trains to make his escape. How do we track all the trains that have left LA in the past 24 hours?
Well, in front of the dispatcher there, he has the train sheet, and on that he has the train information of each train that's left LA since midnight. He also sends track warrants to the trains, which is their authority to occupy the main track, and it gives them the speed restrictions and other information they need to know about their trip on the road.
Well, there are a lot of trains. How do you keep them all from running into each other?
Well, Aaron, the train dispatcher is like the air traffic controller for trains, and he has this CTC machine, which is called centralized traffic control, and by touching this screen, he can tell the train to go to the next point. And you touch the button here, the signal light up, the arrow comes up, push the spot there, and the line will go from yellow to green when the signal's clear.
Oh, wow.
So come over here and touch the signal clear again.
There we go.
Now hit the 2EB signal. That lit up. Now hit your execute button. And now the train has a green traffic light to proceed on.
Geez, with all these trains, our cook could be anywhere in the country.
Well, with all the inner-city routes, he may not have left Los Angeles.
Jim's suggestion put me back on track. It was possible that the thief never left Southern California. I'd found jewels at Union Station, Fullerton, and San Bernardino. Now there was only one thing still missing, the sword.
I headed for Little Tokyo in search of someone who might know something about rare samurai swords and who could tell me what that Japanese character said. On most days, Little Tokyo was teeming with people who had come down here to soak up a little Japanese culture. Not me. I was here to solve a crime. I asked around and the name Furuya came up. Daniel Furuya. He runs the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. It seemed like a good place to start.
I was told you might be able to help me figure out what this character means. We think it's a clue that might help lead us to our sword thief, but my Japanese is a little rusty.
This is the name of Masamune, who was a very famous maker of swords during the 13th century. He produced many very beautiful and very rare Japanese swords and is considered one of the most famous sword makers in Japanese history.
I don't get it. Why was our thief so interested in this sword?
Well, Masamune blades are worth a great deal of money, so the thieves may have been interested in just trying to sell it and make a lot of money. But Masamune blades have something special beyond its dollar value. It has a special kind of virtue, a kind of beauty, a kind of mastery of craftsmanship, which people have sought after and appreciated for the last 800 years. This virtue instills the owner with a kind of special quality which compels him not to try to kill, but to try to preserve lives, to try to save people's lives.
At this point, we're not sure if the thief is carrying the sword on him or not, but if he is, he could be a walking Cuisinart.
If you like, I can show you some Aikido techniques which may be useful to you to defend yourself.
I've heard of karate and judo, but what is Aikido?
Aikido is relatively unknown martial art in the United States today, but it's quite popular. It's not a sport and it's not a competition, but it is an art, and it concentrates on developing the individual, developing his energy, his concentration in relation to the study and discipline of the martial art technique. Aikido is a non-aggressive art. It's not a destructive art, but actually Aikido leads towards individual peace and calmness and strength, and tries to work towards creating a peaceful world and environment today. That's what's important about Aikido.
I enjoyed learning a little bit about Aikido. It seemed like great exercise and fun for just about anybody, but I felt like I was getting a little sidetracked. I thought if Daniel would show me his collection of rare swords, I might get a handle on what our crook was really after. Was he in search of wealth, or was it something else? Daniel's collection was priceless, but their worth went beyond money. Earlier, he had mentioned that the stolen sword might have the quality of bringing virtue and good character to the owner. Is that what our thief was after? I couldn't help but think that these are not qualities that can be bought or stolen. I thanked Daniel for his help and knew it was time to check in with Aaron.
We'll return to clue you in after these messages.
And now back to clue you in.
The case of the golden sword. Christina told me about the significance of the sword, good fortune and virtue. What do those qualities have to do with the thief? But I thought, if the thief was this guy named Diver who worked at the holography lab, maybe I'd find him near the water. We agreed to meet later back at Union Station. With the trail of stolen jewels leading to San Pedro, this meant only one thing. Our sword thief must have also ended up here. I figured I'd better look into the crazy possibility that the thief hid the sword somewhere in the ocean. I hitched a ride with the only boat going out. It was run by a group called the Oceanic Society. I'd heard of them. One of the things they did was to teach kids how to appreciate, understand, and respect the ocean waters of the world. Yet, if the thief really had hidden the sword in the blue Pacific, it'd be like trying to find a needle in the old haystack. But I had faith in the writers of this show. I knew they wouldn't come up with anything that far-fetched.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to give each person a job to do to put the net in the water. When you're finished with your
The activities on board the Oceanic Society's boat took my mind off the sword for a little while. One of the guys in charge asked me if I'd help out. They were going to comb the very bottom of the ocean to show us the variety of sea life that lived down there.
Okay, net pitcher, give it a good heave. Good job. Hey, stop pulling.
Now that we've brought up the net, Jim, what kind of fish have we got?
Well, we've got a wide range of animals that we catch in the otter trawl. Some of them live in different areas. Some are bottom dwellers, and some are higher up in the water, in the midwater. We've got a pretty good catch today. We've got a few that are dangerous, so we've got to be careful on how we're going to handle them. This guy here, bat ray, happens to be a smaller bat ray. It can get pretty large. We've seen him and have caught him up to 50 pounds. Just by looking at this animal, you can kind of tell where he lives just by his body shape. He's flat on the top, so you could probably figure he settles on the bottom most of the time. He does live on the bottom.
I see this fish. He has like points on the top of his back.
Yeah, this fish here is a dangerous fish, so we're going to leave him in the pool. This is a sculpin, and those spines that you see on his back, part of the dorsal spines there, are poisonous. They do have a toxin inside. You don't want to touch that animal. You got to be very careful because you don't want that spine to go into your hand. Very, very toxic. It's very painful. So we want to leave him down in the pool.
Well, what kind of fish is that? Because I see it has like two eyes on one side of the body.
Yeah, it does. This is a California halibut. We'll pull him out of the water here so you can get a better look. Okay, it is a California halibut, and he does have both eyes up on top, a little unusual for most animals. If you take a look on his underside here, if you'll be cooperative, there you go. He's got no eye underneath. Okay, but at one time he had an eye over here when he was very, very young. And then what happens is, as the fish settles down to the bottom, the eye actually migrates around the top of the head or goes through the skull to the top of the animal, and the animal spends the rest of his life down on the bottom, just like this. So he is very much modified to his environment, which is the bottom environment.
Finding out that halibut has an eyeball on the top of its head is pretty interesting, but that wasn't the kind of information that would get me closer to locating the sword. When I heard that Jim was bringing up stuff from the actual bottom soil of the ocean, I thought I'd ask him just a few more questions. Have you ever hauled anything valuable up in one of these things, like buried treasure?
Well, we don't get buried treasure very often, but we do get a lot of these animals that we consider pretty valuable. Well, all these animals were in roughly 60 to 70 feet of water.
Boy, down where these things live would be a good place to hide something. Jim offered to show me what it was like to go beneath the waves. We went over to one of the most popular spots for snorkelers and divers near San Pedro. We knew our thief was called Diver, and if this place was really that popular, who knows what I'd find here. It was was a different world down here, and well, call me lucky if you will, but with this show nearing its end, I suddenly had this feeling that my hunch was going to be right. Our thief had been here after all.
We'll return to clue you in after these messages.